The year is 2018, and Nick Litombe, Nomso Kana, and myself were sitting around the table, basking in our perceived success. Nick from Cameroon was an applied physics PhD and data scientist, crafting energy and innovation policy for the United States government. Nomso from South Africa, she is a nuclear physicist turned fiber optics entrepreneur, deploying infrastructure in her country to reduce the cost of internet. I, based here in California, where I'm calling you from, was with NVIDIA and guiding the top 5 largest companies in the entire world to deploy AI solutions that billions of people will use. This all looked exciting for humanity until we had this chilling realization that there was an insurmountable gap that was growing in the quality of life that humans live. And this was because of the way people are applying the technologies that we're building. In that, in the near future, being wealthy won't be enough for you to escape this gap. The only way was that you'd have to increase the representation of people who look like you at the table where AI is built. As Nisa just shared, you probably now see a version of this reality through COVID-19. It has come to expose this gap to more people. For example, as a rich person in Nigeria, you can't now simply send your kids to America for school when the schools at home are terrible. Similarly, you can't escape the poor healthcare systems in your country and fly to London when you are sick. And as a rich person, the security systems that are getting built will still spot you as a black person and, oddly, as a criminal. Many of you wish for COVID-19 to end so all of this will go away. But I say to you that if the current application of AI continues because you don't do anything about it, this problem will last more than 3 decades until we are at the mercy of white and Chinese male engineers and researchers. We could not wait that day in 2018. We had to act fast. You cannot wait today. You have to act now. I'll paraphrase Nelson Mandela, since we have all the South Africans in the room. He said, I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. Make sure to pause and enjoy the view, then march on, because with freedom comes great responsibility. So to that, I share that last year at this powerful global summit, there were 2 men representing Africa handing out pamphlets. They are Nick Bradshaw and John Kamara, who is moderating. So after that, myself, Nick, Celina, Dr. Ahura in America, we set out on the journey to convince our great friends at the ITU that it was crucial for African innovators to be at this table, so the world has an opportunity to benefit from the groundbreaking work that's happening on our continent. Today, the ITU has agreed to have 3 sessions with up to 15 speakers of African descent. 60% of this particular one we help organize are women, so this is some great progress. It has been 500 years, but our voices edge ever closer, returning to the global innovation table. We will use it to speak, not just for Black people and women, but for Latin Americans, for Asians, for Europeans, and people in forgotten American states. We must stop our cycle of waiting for the world to change. We must stop waiting for our governments to magically do something on their own without our support. We must stop waiting for large global organizations to increase the representation in their staff, because evidence shows that they don't have the motivation. We must stop waiting because for once, the same technology that threatens our relevance also provides us an opening to demonstrate a new path for its progression. AI for basic human needs. If I'm going to progress here, Onyeka Akuma did not wait when he went from discussing with my organization 3 years ago about finding mentors for his farm proudly startup in Nigeria, to now multiplying the yields of over 25,000 farmers in that country, earning him the current number 24 spot, right next to Aliko Dangote, as the top disruptor list in Africa. Eric Rima did not wait when he set up Kamara Health in Kenya to down the atrocious cost of MRI machines by designing an AI tool that on a phone, such that you could place that phone on the back of a patient. It collects sound waves from their lungs and uses those waves to create images that medical practitioners can use to diagnose disease. You can imagine how much cheaper that is than buying an MRI that costs the same as building 4 hospitals in Kenya. We must not wait. Now, let's talk about the other villain, the digital divide. You see, digital transformation is like a fast-moving train. From the platform, some people can stretch their legs and get on easy. Others have not been able to. They are divided from the digital world and all its opportunities. 30 million of those people are actually in the United States of America, by the way. So once again, it's a problem that we share together as a globe and should address together. In parts of Africa, we obviously have small percentages who have access and ability to pay comfortably for this internet. They are a very important group. But our challenge today is to come up with a plan that will beat that divide down this decade. My fellow panelists, I place your logos on the chat too. We will see how you think about that when we have our discussions. I spoke about this very topic at a Pan-African conference in Egypt last December and was told that Africa was too behind to talk about AI. My response was that if you look at Africa in short periods, you will find problems. But if you look at it decade to decade, you will find commendable growth that we can build on to design the future of our economies. You'll agree. There are Africans working at key positions for key organizations around the world. So our organization, Alliance for Africa's Intelligence, Alliance for AI for short, is laser focused on the future of our lives. Our approach is to tap into Africa's smartest minds around the world to get people acting on crucial matters that can't wait, experimenting and piloting programs until for-profit bodies, governments, or large organizations pick them up to scale them. Governments like it. Our key principles are, as you see, #OneBrain, #Love, and #Each One Teach Two. The whole plan was that leaders today have a focus on consumers. They think, how do we find $100 billion to borrow so we provide electricity and internet so people can consume? And that is important, but this is solving the equation a little backwards. Hence, it hasn't worked properly for over 20 years. It doesn't start with small steps from the people that cascade into a domino effect, I like to call it. The AI revolution is not about consumers, it's about builders. AI is today. We must shift the tide from being consumers and seekers of aid towards being builders of solutions. So, the Alliance for AI path to initiating your 4IR domino effect wherever you are in the world. We think you should identify your builders to activate them. You should meet the learners where they are. And there's an X factor, which you will tell me about at the end of this speech. Supercomputers. The builders need supercomputers and enabling policy. We must select these builders, those in our nations that we want to activate, even if it's just 5 companies. I mean, China started with Alibaba and Baidu. Your builders need these things to succeed. There's already progress, as African innovators raised over $1 billion last year. Connectivity cost is going down over time if you look at it decade to decade, and mobile penetration is going up. But we are ready for the next wave. I hope Strive MIIA is listening, because the last wave, it was started by him, and it created millions of jobs, which was mobile. The next wave is indeed supercomputers. These, you can think of them as very powerful laptops to a room filled with powerful machines. The world didn't have modern AI that we're all talking about until 2012, when a GPU supercomputer started getting used to do AI. So how can Africa innovators build competitive AI without much easier access to supercomputers when their counterparts around the world have this easy? You see, it will take an African innovator 2 months to train a complex but important and useful AI model that will only take their counterparts a few hours in San Francisco with a small supercomputer, not even a big one. There's just one supercomputer in Africa today, and it's built and managed by my good friend Stella in South Africa. I was involved in the deployment of every single NVIDIA GPU cloud today. So my evolving perspective is that when you are deploying your products and people are paying for it, yes, you can do that on the cloud. But when you are learning and experimenting to build, it's crazy to use the cloud, especially that you're paying for, when your competition in America have hundreds of thousands of free cloud credits, or even work with their governments to build supercomputers. So we need to solve this for our builders in Africa. You could start this with a small pilot, either less than $100,000 for one startup hub with C5 companies, or $500,000 for a city, or go $10 million to pilot this across 4 corners of the continent. I mean, we already spent $50 billion to build infrastructure, as Minister shared, or we can cut out a little slice just to test this whole concept of supercomputing. We already have a group of Africans deploying these very machines.
So Alex,
yes?
Alex,
yes.
In the interest of time, we're going to need you to sort of wrap up real quick.
Yes. No, I can go through this. If you give me 3 more minutes, I'll go through these. Pretty much the supercomputers for the builders are important. The education piece is incredibly important as well. We have to meet the learners where they are. You don't have to use the digital internet all the time. There's WhatsApp, there's radio, there's television. We at Alliance for AI are working. We've got Rose Gasicho over in Kenya. She's a little older than 20, but she's designing what we call a distributed crowd healing future of work learning plan, where she has a library of capabilities important to the future. Dr. Marope will talk more about this, and my mentor Andrea Case in San Francisco as well. And we give this over to people to use that to learn in schools. It's already been piloted in African Leadership University in Rwanda, African Science Academy in Ghana, and in Supcom, Tunisia. So the final X factor is really you. You have to be the market and buy African solutions. Let's do away with the current outdated narrative where that major news outlets propel that says Africa are only seekers of aid and not buyers of solutions. I mean, with COVID-19, Africans have built a number of solutions that the world is not looking at. So the domino effect, as I close, is about creating thriving environments for the sharpest innovators, running campaigns that encourage local and international purchase of their offerings. Otherwise, there's no future of work if you're not buying African tools. Completely new industries will get enabled, which will transform your societies to the point where you have enough well-fed, free-thinking human beings who will make up a majority of your government. A responsible government will lead you to your future. So the very last slide here. But Alliance for AI will continue to be one of the sidekicks of the government, ensuring we, the grassroots people, are making progress in Africa, in America, in Brazil, and all the forgotten minorities of the world. You see, we cannot fail. We will only succeed if you join the movement. We have space for volunteers, including musicians and sports players. You should join. And those who want to fund our blueprint, so we scale these programs. The final quote here, before you continue, John.
Thank you, Alex.
Coming from, well, John, if you let me just close with this one, right? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that it's only when it is dark enough that you will see the stars. It's dark right now with COVID-19 lockdowns. And so if you're a star, I implore you to step out and be the star that the world will never forget. Thank you. Over to you, John.